Hello, welcome to Gareth Jones on Speed. This is a rather special episode, this one, because later on in the second half of the show, I go to the London Concours to see some of the coolest classic cars in the universe. I get to talk to Jonny Smith and Richard Porter, who's nice to have them.
Who's Richard
you've heard
Porter?
of them. I remember him, but you remember these voices. Alex Goy, so welcome to Gareth Jones on Speed. How are you, boys?
Hi, I'm good, thanks. I'm tired and my voice is going, so sorry if I sound like I've been smoking 1,000 cigarettes a day for the last, 1,000 years.
Because you probably have.
Less than 1,000. But yeah, I've been at Le Mans.
You lucky man.
Oh, you lucky boy. I haven't been at Le Mans, unfortunately, but I had a good weekend following the race along at home.
It was a hell of a race, though, wasn't it?
I get it. No, that was a proper race. Yeah, right up until the very end, we didn't know who was going to win. And how many leaders were there? 9 or 10, I think.
Is that what it was? I remember at one point, in one short 10-minute section within the first couple of hours, Ferrari led, Toyota led, Peugeot led, Cadillac led.
I know, extraordinary.
Job done.
Yes, it just looked like such a lovely day, apart from those little spells where it bucketed down. I'm sure Alex can tell us more about that. But packed grandstands, huge crowd. It was fantastic. Just a shame that I had to follow it along on TV at home with my own, cobbled together entertainment. But yes, it was fantastic.
Yeah, I did the same. Watched it on television. I watched the first 7 hours and then decided to go out clubbing, went out for a bit of a dance, came home at 3 o'clock in the morning and watched another 2 hours with Tycho until 5 in the morning, and then hit the sack, woke up at 11 and watched the final few hours of the race. But Alex, you were there.
I was there and it was great.
Yeah.
As you are both well aware, though, however, when you're there, keeping up with what's actually going on the circuit is nigh on impossible.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it's a trade-off.
Even with my magical, what was it Richard used to say, my magical ivory tower with screens and updates from a person appearing going, this is what's happening in the race, almost impossible to keep a proper handle on what's going on. But it was just incredible, like the whole thing, the atmosphere of it, because I haven't been to anywhere near as many you guys have, but I think I worked out this is my 6th, maybe 7th.
Well done.
And the atmosphere
I think that qualifies you as a veteran. Yep.
Well, I've done 6% of every Le Mans, which is... I met someone over the weekend who is a sports car journalist whose name I completely forget, who worked out he's done 30% of all the Le Mans.
Wow. At least this year, it's pretty easy to work out the maths on that calculation,
Yeah. 800 hours of Le Mans, 30% of 100 times 24 hours. I think I did that right, didn't I? I calculated that. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, that sounded like something.
I'm not Carol Vorderman. That's someone else I worked with. Yeah. Alex, tell us about the drive over. You went in was it a GT, an R, an S? But I know it was an Alpine A110.
I was in a lovely little Alpine A110. I was in a GT, so soft and squidgy, but with the extra power, with the extra grunt. I think last year I went over in the very, very base one, which was a bit stripped out and it had the lower power, and I was driving solo as well. The sound system was a bit naff and I was a bit tired by the end of it, but this one, the GT, is just a really lovely little car. It's comfy, it's smooth, you can blast down the auto route if you want to. Weirdly, not that many cops this time, which was quite pleasant. We drove down on the Thursday this year rather than the Friday, so I had to pick up accreditation, and Alpine was revealing its hypercar contender for next year on the Friday, so we had to be there for that. It was properly mega. There were a few little convoys going down. We bumped into the Ferrari UK convoy, so I saw a couple of colleagues in a Puro Sangue, which I still maintain is a really dubious name considering the climate at the minute.
Yeah, a fair point, actually.
Yeah,
fair point.
I'm not really on board with that. There was also an SPF 90, keep the sun off your face.
Yeah.
Very, very lovely.
Puro Sangue means thoroughbred, doesn't it?
Pure blood.
Thoroughbred.
Well, pure blood, literally, which, as Alex says, has extremely difficult connotations.
Oh, dear.
It's a bit shady. Not a huge fan of that, but hey-ho.
To be fair, I'm sure that's not what they were intending.
No, of course not.
But
Anyway, it looked good. Like, I've not seen one in the metal before. It's a hulking great thing, but they've done that thing that every SUV does, where the lower sill is black, so it really hides a lot of the weight. But it's a hugely imposing thing. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Good lord, that thing is stunning. Anyway, yeah, drive down was lovely. Got to the circuit for the kind of, I think, the tail end of Hyperpole on the Thursday night, so watch cars blast by in the dark, which was mega. Got my first taste of the Camaro. Because Alpine, bless them, if you remember back in the bad old days when I met you guys, Audi had all the monoliths around the circuit. And now Audi's gone, there's none of that, so everyone's kind of got their own. And Alpine's monolith is right at the pit exit. So start, finish straight, right to the pit exit, where the big Michelin timing stick thing is.
Yeah.
It's right there. So I was stood on their balcony, pointing a camera down, watching all these cars getting ready to go. The hypercars, to be in the presence thereof, just incredible. The Ferraris look beautiful, they look elegant. I adore the Porsche liveries. I like the fact that each one of them has different coloured headlights. The number 6 car has purple headlights, which I saw. I think there's a picture on my Instagram of the purple one from on high, which I'm particularly pleased with. Number 5 was blue, and the other one was orange or green or something. Anyway, but the Peugeots, they look really proper. I know they didn't quite do the business this year, but they look amazing because they've not got the big wing, which was a point of contention at their press conference on Friday evening. Because they don't have the big wing, they just kind of look lower and wider and meaner, and the headlamps, the slatty headlamps and slatty rear lamps, it's so imposing.
I was about to mention that. I love the fact that these things are purpose-built vehicles. They're only designed to operate. They don't have to look beautiful. But Peugeot went to an awful lot of trouble to paint on top, if you like, a kind of an aesthetic. They're using the lights to create the Peugeot claws, like you say, on the front headlights and on the rear, like it's been torn by 3 claws, the Peugeot Lion. It's beautiful. Well done, avant-garde Peugeot.
It's a very strong look, it is.
Yeah.
On a slight tangent, but it's entirely relevant. You know how in the village and around Le Mans there's lots of activities going on around the vehicles, around the cars, around the race?
Yeah. Mainly drinking, but there is a car involved often.
But the manufacturers fire some stuff up occasionally. So Peugeot does a Lego Technic version of the 9X8.
Yeah.
They were doing over 24 hours. They built a life-size 9X8 out of Lego.
Well, I saw that on TV, the whole thing. Yeah, and they finished with 4 hours to spare or something, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, I popped in to see it on the Saturday morning at about 8:30, and the guys were still going. They had 9 hours left to go. And it was incredible. It was so cool because they had a real one, or a model of a real one, but life size, next to it, and they had all these guys in Lego t-shirts gluing bits together. It was so cool.
And they did it, as Zog will testify, in the right colour. Zog, did you build one in grey?
I did pick up a Lego Technic 9X8 to build during the race, and about an hour in, I started going on it, and I did not finish the build during the race. I got about a third of the way in.
If I remember, you also had a bottle of wine and some very fine camembert to enjoy. So
I did.
You had other stuff going on.
I did have, there was, thank you, Alex. Thank you for your understanding there. There was other stuff going on. But more than that, I realised that I was just spending a bit too much time trying to find another tiny little plastic piece inside another bag.
And not looking at the race.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And I thought maybe this wasn't the best use of my time. But that said, I love Lego. I love Lego Technic, and this was a great model. I ended up with a very satisfying engine and rear suspension and components around that part of the car, and it's a thing of beauty. It's a thing of mechanical beauty. So if you're tempted by the Lego Peugeot hypercar, you're not sure whether to pull the trigger on it, go for it, you'll love it. I'll get mine finished later this week, I think.
I think the car looked a lot more handsome in its original grey rather than the centenary paint scheme.
You say that, it does look mean and angry and it's great, but this was one of the most colourful Le Mans I've been to, because the top end cars, previously Audi's been grey and white, or I think they did a red one. Porsche did black, white and red.
Yeah.
Toyota is white and
black, white and red,
black,
and
white
silver.
And red.
Yeah.
This year, the Porsches had that amazing multicoloured livery that people apparently, it's quite polarising apparently. I adored it. Ferrari were red and yellow. Peugeot had that really bright colour scheme, but it meant when you saw the cars coming down either on a screen in the distance or when you were kind of at the track edge and you cast away, you could see what it was.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Porsche lights thing. I mean, that is a stroke of genius, because particularly at night it's so much harder to tell the cars apart, unless you know that they're running 1, 2 or 3 in the category and you can look for the lights on the side of the car.
I jumped into their pit garage. One of the last things I did before I left on Sunday, I jumped into their pit garage just to have a bit of a nose really, and text a friend, you work for Porsche, any chance I can come and have a look? And above each of the cars in their pit is an LED strip that corresponds to their headlight colours.
Oh.
And their driver's helmet box things each of them have the colour of the headlights in them.
Oh, that's nicely
fantastic.
integrated. Well done, Peugeot.
I strolled past Andre Lotterer's helmet box and it was lit up purple. It was great.
Fantastic.
Andre Lotter has a purple helmet, you're saying?
Moving swiftly on. Yes, go, yes.
The box he keeps it in. I have a picture of it. I'll send it to you.
Well, listen, while I'm being smutty,
DMs only, please.
here's one. Why were the first few hours of Le Mans like lying in a bed after sex?
Don't know.
I'm not going to rise to that one.
The answer is you've got to be careful of the wet patches, right? Because
Hey.
that's what caught them all out, wasn't it? They started slipping and sliding, peeping and hiding.
As segues go, Gareth, I'm delighted and a little bit disgusted. That was beautiful. The thing is, we were promised, and I was checking the weather app, I was promised torrential rain and thunderstorms all weekend. We were like, Friday's going to be nice, Saturday, Sunday going to be absolutely gross. However, that wasn't entirely the case. So the bits you saw on telly with the Cadillac and the 911 spinning and which was epic, around the paddock, around the pits, there wasn't that much rain. There was a bit of drizzle, and then there were a couple of moments of proper chucking it down, but then as quickly as it came, it went. Mm-hmm. The rest of the circuit, miserable and horrible, but it wasn't as bad as we were expecting. So I had waterproof cagoules, I had waterproof shoes, waterproof everything, I had everything double bagged and prepped just in case my cameras got soaked. It was potentially jazzy, but actually it turned out okay.
I take a wetsuit with me to Le Mans just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah, it caused chaos, didn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, the couple of times when it came down, particularly it was near the Porsche curves in particular, where there was cars were just skating off. And then the extended safety car periods that followed all that was a bit of an interruption to the race. Well, more than a bit. You know, you had really quite long periods of trailing around behind the safety car and then sorting the order out. So it's good that when they got back to the racing, that it was as good as it was, that we had the race that we did, because there were a good few hours of thumb twiddling and trailing around behind safety car.
Yeah, there was a lot of safety car action, wasn't there? And I'm wondering if this influenced the result, because the way that they manage the safety cars at Le Mans this year is different to how they've done it before, don't they? They group the cars against three.
What was that? I tried to decipher it via Twitter, and Hazel Southwell, who is one of the smartest motorsport brains I know, was like, I don't know. And if Hazel doesn't know...
Well, my understanding of the justification for switching to this new arrangement, this new safety car system, is that deploying 3 safety cars whenever there was a big incident would tend to randomly disadvantage some teams too much, because what would happen would be that you'd be 3 or 4 seconds behind the car ahead, but because of where the safety car comes out, you just miss the cutoff, and you end up behind safety car number 2, and the car that you were 3 or 4 seconds behind previously and chasing hard and were having a proper race with, that car is suddenly behind the safety car that's ahead of your train on the field. They get to catch up to the end of that train of cars, so they end up a third of a lap ahead of you just because the safety cars have been deployed. And that was happening a bit too often to too many teams, and there was a feeling that that was a problem that needed addressing. And I can see that is a problem. If 2 or 3 times over the course of your race you've been set back a third of a lap because of a bad break with the safety car, that's made a big difference to your race. But the trade-off, as we saw this year, is that you get much longer periods behind the safety car while they're sorting that whole order out.
Sorting things out. Yeah, that's the upshot of it. It was difficult to follow during those moments, but, they had their reasons for running it that way. Oh, my new favourite thing from Le Mans, Eduardo Freitas, who is the clerk of the course, you might say, runs the event. A chap who I follow on Twitter called Adrian Michael Rees did a brilliant impression of Eduardo doing some comedy. So this is my new favourite voice, because his voice, and see if I can do it now, I'm going to try and do my version of it. It's he's very low and very, very calm. This is race control. All the cars will line up behind the safety car, and it will happen in 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Now, that's the voice I want to hear when Russia launch a nuclear attack on London.
I'm going to be the last voice you hear, but okay.
Exactly, I want Eduardo to go, okay, the missiles are on their way. go and get in the bunker and kiss your ass goodbye. Okay, Eduardo says, I will do it.
That was pretty close. That reminded me, one little takeaway from this year's race for me was apparently, and this is from Freitas, apparently during lockdown and some of the virtual Le Mans that they've been running, he was so impressed by the way that the teams and the organisers have been able to use Discord, Discord messaging service to communicate between the organisers and the teams, that they've made that a part of running the race for real. And so a lot of the communication, the notifications to teams notifying the organisers of whatever it was they wanted to let them know about, whether it was, telling on another team that had done something that they didn't approve of or thought might be dodgy, or this is all happening on Discord. So well done to Freitas for being well up to speed with contemporary media data tools. I
was full of joy when I heard that, because the idea of Le Mans, which is right at the cutting edge of motorsport, using a, if you like, proprietary system for communication is really cool, rather than trying to build it themselves from scratch. And the next thing is, will it be Edward de Freitas on TikTok or maybe Twitch, where he's playing a WEC game? We get to hear him. This is very difficult, but you can watch me drive this corner. Edward Freitas. I love his voice.
Yes.
There is no safety car on Forza Motorsport. It is fine.
A couple of things I noticed over the commentary. Yes, I listen to Radio Le Mans. Of course you do, Radio Le Mans. But I also watched a lot of the Eurosport commentary using Lee Diffie, who is the guy who hosts IndyCar on NBC. Everything's quite cheerful and it's easy to understand. He's really good. And I thought he did a terrific job. Really terrific job.
He was mispronouncing quite a few names, though, I think.
He did. He kept saying Giovinazzi as opposed to Giovinazzi, which is the correct one.
And Loic Duval, I think.
Oh, really? I missed it.
And Rachel Frey, I think.
Also, right. Yeah. Oops. I like the fact that he had my old mate Lena Gade sitting alongside him, who used to run the Audi team. She was so on top of it. Brilliant broadcaster. Very, very pleased to see that. I got a mention on Radio Le Mans.
I saw.
Yeah, I sent it to you. I know. Yeah, which made my day. I didn't expect it. I thought I'll send one off saying, hello, give us a wave. And fair play, John Hindhaugh. Said hello. And I jumped up and down on the sofa here like my favourite team had won. The best possible thing that can happen at Le Mans is either you get a mention from John Hindhaugh or your favourite team wins, which is what happened. I said, do you remember in the last show, I'm back in the Ferraris, but specifically the number 51 Ferrari.
You did.
And Zog, you said, well, I'd like Porsche to win, but for Ferrari to win the 100th would be an epic thing. I couldn't be happier. You couldn't be happier, perhaps unless Porsche got to number 2. But who was the star of the show? In your opinion, boys, of all the things going on, what's the headline of the race this year? For you?
Well, Ferrari wins on return to Le Mans.
Yeah.
That's it.
Actually, my star of the show, Ferrari winning Le Mans, obviously historic victory, been half a century. The Camaro.
There you go.
Absolutely.
The Camaro. Oh, how we laughed when they said, oh, yeah, we're bringing a NASCAR to Le Mans. We're like, whatever, can't turn right. Not only did it successfully turn right and left quite amazingly well, it did so faster than the GTM cars.
Yeah, 3 seconds or so.
And every time it went by, you knew it was coming because it sounded so incredibly naughty. It was louder than everything else. It was this big lumpy thing. It was somewhere on Twitter, if you find a photographer called Jamie Price, he took this brilliant picture of the pack, the hypercars up front, there's the LMP2s, there's the GTMs, and then there's this massive lump of Camaro just in the middle.
It's massive, isn't it? It's like a wall. It did ever so well to maintain any sort of pace on the Mulsanne straight, really, and then get the brakes under control and make the chicane. And the noise it made, because we were saying in the last episode that, the Corvettes, the mid-engine Corvettes, don't sound as good as when they were front-engine. But in that NASCAR Camaro, that sound, that big sort of brown, is what it says as it goes by, brown.
Yeah, and Jenson Button was having an absolute blast driving it. He obviously, he was a happy boy.
Yeah. I've got to pick up, is it GB Fans? I saw this on a couple of places, a couple of websites saying, Jenson Button's debut at Le Mans.
No.
Oh, no, it flipping isn't. He drove that BR racing car in LMP1 a few years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pathetic, innit? Eh? Q.
Also, I got behind Rexy during the race. I have to say, the livery on that car was so fantastic. This is the Tyrannosaurus Rex inspired look.
Yeah, that was cool.
It was
funny.
Fantastic.
You can recognise it every time, you know.
Yeah,
that's useful.
Yeah, shame they didn't make the podium. You know, but they were leading for a while. They were scrapping for the lead. There was a good fight in GTEM. I was also following Michael Fassbender during the race. I really wanted him to get a good result.
Of course.
You know, he's genuinely into his racing and he's taking it seriously. It would be great to see him actually get somewhere with it rather than be regarded as, you know, this actor who's doing it on the side. And on Sunday morning, when I got up and I tuned into the race, one of the first things I did was, let's see where Fassbender is. You know, and almost as soon as I'd done that, I saw a grey Porsche spinning out of a corner into a barrier, and that was the end of his race. It's not cause and effect, but it was unfortunate timing.
I think Le Mans being so hard, so difficult to even finish, let alone perform well at, is the reason that the whole race is perhaps, oh my gosh, I can only think of the Welsh word, parhau, persist. Isn't that weird? The reason that Le Mans has persisted for 100 years, because people keep coming back, I'm going to do it, and they keep trying, don't they? If you have a bad year, it guarantees that you come back. I'm saying this because Toyota are going to be very miffed at the moment. They didn't say it publicly, they said it very carefully, but they were disappointed in the final balance of performance for the hypercar class. They carried 37 kilograms. I think the Ferrari carried 24 kilograms.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And this is what they do. They do it every year, but I think Toyota felt it was a little unjust.
Actually, I think, wasn't that weight balance the previous BOP balance, and they did a further tweak at the last minute? I'd have to look back on the detail of that.
Was it an extra 10 or something?
I'm not sure, but Toyota were clearly unhappy with, and they hinted at it. They hinted as much. Although the regulations actually mean that they cannot explicitly say this. You will be sanctioned if you explicitly say, we think that's an unfair BOP. But they were clearly not happy with the last minute tweak. And I mean, I don't know, for the last third of the race or so, Toyota and Ferrari had a very close fight for the lead. Now, on the face of it, that looks like they got the balance of performance about right.
Yeah.
But, you know, we don't see behind the curtain. There's a bit of a question mark there, but we certainly got to see a very exciting race.
Yeah, there seems to be more action in the top class car on car this year than we've ever seen, and I'm happy with that as a punter, so sorry Toyota, that's how it works. I do feel for them, I wish them well next year. I tell you what though, the joy of hearing the Italian national anthem, Fratelli Italia, being played at the end when the drivers of the 51 car and the others were on the podium. And it was the full version played by a real band, including that long, complicated introduction, the instrumental bit before they start singing. But it reminded me that for the last few years, the anthem that they play at Le Mans for the winner has been Kimi ga Yo, which is the Japanese national anthem, which is a very somber and sincere and almost mournful piece of music, which is kind of nice, but the joy of Ferrari winning made it for me. It was wonderful.
Great moment. Yep.
Looking forward to next year. Ford Mustang in GT3. We've got new hypercars. Lamborghini are coming.
Lamborghini, BMW's coming, and Alpine. We were ushered into a big box and the covers were taken off the A424 Beta. 3.4 litre V6. Hybrid power. It will be exactly in line with all of the others, albeit engineered slightly differently as it should be. It looks incredible. It's massive. It's got hints of A110 in there with the headlights.
Very good.
It's got hints of what's to come from Alpine. The colour scheme is stunning. I love the headlights. I also love, if you get a chance to have a look at some pictures, the rear lights are the Alpine A.
More light detail. Nice. Very good, Alpine.
Properly cool.
Can't wait to see it.
Very, very good. Hey, I was almost there with you in the moment there. I knew you were there, Alex, enjoying it for me. And anyone who did go to Le Mans this year, I hope you enjoyed it on our behalf. We enjoyed it at home. But hey, looking forward to next year, and we'll be there, Z. We'll be there, won't we?
That's the plan.
Already making plans, don't you worry.
See you there. Alex, Zog, will you say farewell?
Bye.
Farewell. Au revoir.
Very good. Au revoir. That's the right way to do it. That is the sound of a lovely June afternoon in London. I'm at the London Concours. You know what a concourse is? Everyone turns up with the most lovely things they've ever seen in terms of motor vehicles and show them off. And people turn up and go, yeah, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. Oh, look at that. That's nice. So I've just arrived, but here's a quick taster of the first dozen or so cars arrive here, right? A 1953 Jaguar XK 120, split windshield, low kind of speedster version. I'm on the opposite side, Alfa Romeo from 1972, a 1300 Ti Giulia in green, a 2005 Porsche Carrera GT Zagato. I mean, these are special. Every single one is special. An Alfa Romeo 8C Competizione. Yeah, the developed version, as I remember. An Aston Martin DBS in 2009 seems très ordinaire by comparison. Oh, next to a 1978 Jag XJC V12. Oh, they used to bend in the middle, but they were so lovely. Oh, now there's a Ferrari 488 Pista. Oh, and a big old Rolls-Royce Phantom 8. The new one, the 2022 one. Monster cars. Oh, and it's directly opposite. Oh, it's kind of nice. On the other side of the aisle is a 1935 Rolls-Royce Phantom 2. And it's like the World Stare-Out Competition. Have you ever seen that on YouTube, the World Stare-Out Competition? My mate Phil Cornwell did part of it. Worth looking into. But it's like the World Stare-Out Competition. These two Rolls-Royces are, I don't know, they're quite facing off, but they're heading off at an acute angle. All the other contestants for the winner of the loveliest thing here, I would imagine. They're very impressive. Look at that. I just saw a 206 Dino. I didn't say Ferrari because you know it isn't. Yeah, it's the GT, the 68 GT. That's the one. That's my girl. That's my baby. That's the one of all the cars there are that are from Maranello or somewhere nearby. That's the one for me. The purity of the 206 GT. Oh, it's not Ferrari. It's a Dino. It's a Dino. Ooh, a nice old Aston. I thought it was a Bristol for a minute. When's this from? 1952. DB2. Oh, yes. A lot of sheet metal in the front. Very upright. Spoke wheels. Shining brighter than Beyonce's diamond. Oh, and a 300 SL Gullwing. 55 in black. MDN6 is the registration. It kind of looks like madness. Highly commended. That's the equivalent of fourth at a dog show, isn't it? I think. Highly commended. And a lovely... It's not silver birch though, is it? No, it's a DB4. Series 1, but it's not silver birch. I think the earlier ones were a bit slow, weren't they? Is that right? Is that right? Did I read that right? Oh, and a Rodan. What used to be the old Lotus chassis. Rodan are selling what they're doing here. New Zealand company who will build and deliver the closest thing you can get to a proper Formula One car from about, I don't know, 15 years ago. It was developed by Lotus initially. They've gone their own way with it, Rodan. I think it's pronounced Rodan. Rodin, it's how it's written if you're Welsh. Rodin. It's not a Rodin. And this one's decked out in something that alludes to the John Player Special livery. Yeah. I'm just going to pick out some of the things that leap out to me. It's an Alpine, an A110. Oh!
How are you?
Good afternoon, Kieran.
Have you seen that Peugeot?
I haven't seen almost nothing yet. Almost anything.
Right, there is a Peugeot estate break over there. I took some photos for you and I haven't had time to send them to you.
Right, you know me well.
I'm not going to say any more than that.
Okay, right.
So,
Peugeot break.
Break.
Beautiful.
A couple of lovely things. You'll see there's a mini beach car. You'll like the Matra. There's a Matra 1 of 2 beach car.
Yes,
right?
okay,
So
yeah.
I won't spoil it.
Yeah.
But also, can I give you a call at some point? I
Yes.
want to organise a day
Yes.
where we've got people together and we'll interview you about your cars from back in the day.
Deal, done.
All right,
Kieran,
that's it.
anything for Rockstar's cars.
Thank you, mate. Take
Love
care.
it, boys.
And go and see that Peugeot.
I will,
All
yeah.
right.
1971 Alpine Renault A110, the 1600S. that car, in that colour, Le French Bleu, parked next to a Citroën. Oh, we got a French corner here, right? Yeah, go on. Let's play guess. Concours d'Elegance, of all the Citroëns, what's it going to be? Parked next to the Alpine. Go on, you have 11 seconds left to guess which one. I know some of you said a DS. I heard that through the mist of time. But the answer is, of course, SM. Yeah. In kind of a leafy ivy green. No, ivy, no. It's softer green than that. And you've just got to look at this car now and realise how much was so right. Everything about the aerodynamics of that car. We've seen this style return again and again and again. Whenever a new company come up with an idea for a car that's ultra efficient, it always looks like the SM, doesn't it? Covered back wheels, that low profile, minimising your frontage, your coefficient of drag from the surface area. That's the way to do it. Oh, and the French, of course they love their cars. Everybody loves their cars. But the French have delivered some absolute champions. There's the new Alpine A110. I think they should have called it something else. I think it should have been the A111. I really do. You know, it's the next one in the line. It's the spirit of the old car, but it's a much bigger car. It's a great car. Fantastic car. There's a Renault Clio, the mid-engine Clio. What was it called? The Clio GT? What did they call it? Clio V6 2004 in kind of a French military grey. Amazing. And a Renault 5 Turbo. Oh, and a red Renault 5 Turbo. I mean, just what do you think? Oh, is this a Bagheera? Morena. It's a Morena, isn't it? No, it is an Alpine. Of course it is. It's the 1978 A310, of course. Just for a second, I thought it was a Bagheera. Do you remember that? The Talbot, or what was it before that? Chrysler, Matra, Bagheera. There was the Morena. Which came first? The Bagheera came first, then it became the Morena. A 3-seat lightweight thing built by Matra. Did you just hear someone say the word Gareth there? I thought I did. There must be another Gareth here. Oh, hi, yeah, my name's Gareth. Great. Oh, little Porsches. Zog, you're missing out on this. I'm hoping he was here yesterday, because this was open yesterday. There's a yellow Testarossa. Oh, the aerocar thing. We talked about this. The Layat Helicar from 1921. That idea when we were still working out how propulsion was going to work for vehicles. We thought sticking a ruddy grey aero propeller on the front and a horizontal or a radial motor. Is that a radial or just a horizontally opposed twin? Set that off to slice its way through people like something from Wacky Races. I love it. Okay, I've stepped out of the sunlight into the shade to a selection of more Aston Martins. Of course, Aston Martin are well represented here. Of course they are. Absolutely, of course they are. That looks like a... Not sure. That's the 5? Yeah, that's the DB5. Look at the DB5, looks good in that colour. What else have we got here? One of the last classic Land Rovers, Mr. Porter will be happy, because that's why I'm here. Richard Porter and Jonny Smith, our mates, are doing a live version of their podcast on stage in 7 minutes, and I've got to work out exactly where that part of the venue is. So I thought I'd come here and just see the cars first. There's a GT40, Porsche 911 Carrera, more McLarens than you can park tidily. Oh, a flotilla of Land Rovers. Oh my gosh, Richard would adore this. A selection of Series 1, a prototype. I think what must be the prototype, is it the Balmoral 86, the 1954 Land Rover Balmoral 86. Lightweights, 80 Series 1. There's some Series 3 stuff that, and they all look so handsome. Utility. Where art thou? Integrale alert. Lancia Delta, Integrale, Evoluzione 2. That's the one. I don't want the Uno, I don't want the Tre, because that had a catalytic converter on it. I want the 2. This one, nice in yellow, very good in yellow, correct, of its period. Very Gareth Jones on speed yellow, that is. I'm walking around it. Yeah, it's in good shape, this. I think mine would have to be Dragon's Blood Red. Oh, is that a Lamborghini LM300? Yes, it's got to be, because look, it's parked next to an Espada. I love the Espada. Technically a shooting brake. Oh, I've got to find those cars that Kieran was talking about. What was he talking about? I've got a matter of minutes. Oh, all the Lamborghinis are here. Yeah, really, all of them. Morena, S, Diablo, Countach 500, Diablo SL. There was a limited edition version of the Countach, the 500 something or other, Quattro Valvole. That was it. Whew, it's in red. Let your imagination go. Oh, there it is. I found it. Thank you, Kieran. He was right. There is a Peugeot 504 Brake Riviera, which in my opinion is a shooting brake, not an estate car, because it's 3-door and based on a coupe rather than a saloon. It meets all the criteria. It's handsome. I think Pininfarina, of course it was Pininfarina, and you know how I feel about Pininfarina, all their work. Oh, she is so beautiful. Oh, my trousers. I am elated. I'm going to take a picture of this car now that we've come to this. Oh, what else is there? Is that I think I've just seen is it a hyena? It's not hyena. What was a... Oh, I'm going to have a look at that a moment. Hold on, I'm going to get this picture while I'm here, because I will miss the moment unless I get the moment. Where's the sun? Outside. It's really nice here, like a garden party. There's loads of room around the cars. You know, no one is spoiling the shot. Hold on, there we go. Stand by, taking a picture. There it is. That's it for this bit of Gareth Jones on Speed. And I'm going to find out what this car is before we go. A Zagato Javia. So this is one of Zagato's Alpha-based concepts. The Ortec Gavia Zagato. Ortec, that's Nissan underneath there. They had a partnership with Nissan, I remember, back in the day to do that. Ortec. Oh, there's a beach buggy as well. I'm running out of time. I've got to wrap it up and find this show, otherwise I'll be very unpopular, and I could do with a drink. I've just spent an hour or more in the company of Richard Porter and Jonny Smith doing the Smith and Sniff podcast live in front of an audience, and I was just enjoying a beer with Richard outside after the show, and I heard what you can hear now. The rumble of V12s, V8s, all the vehicles are not all of them, but many of the vehicles are starting to leave. There goes one of the early Astons now. Let's just hear it. Hang on. Yeah, it's all coming from the exhaust, that wooffle. Oh my gosh, the winner. I've just stumbled across the winner of the London Concours 2023 Best of Show. It's a Porsche Carrera GT, I think that's what you call it. My lord, you don't see many of those. It's the coupe version. Oh, it's the 962 CR. That's what it is, not the Carrera GT. Man alive, that Zog would approve. There's an XJR15 here as well, which is elegant and beautiful. Tom Walkinshaw, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Let's see if I can catch some of the cars I didn't see earlier on. There's an F40, is this an F40? I should know. Pininfarina, of course. Yeah, F40 it's got. And a Plymouth Charger with the American football goal rear wing. And is this an Espada? What is this? Forgive me for not knowing straight away. Let's have a look. Oh, it's a Pantera. It's a Data Masso Pantera. Forgive me for getting that wrong. So the standard of vehicles here, there's a P1. A McLaren P1 in black with the number 59 on the side. Oh, you know. Oh, there's a Porsche in Gulf colours. There's an RSR 911. There's a Monteverdi just leaving, 375L. There's a Jensen Interceptor. Do you remember when I was saying earlier on about Series 2 cars being the one? I just bumped into a guy from Koenigsegg, and I said to him my theory that the Series 2 is always the one to have, and I mentioned Jensen in there. There's an FF Series 2. Series 2 sorted all the problems of the Series 1, but they didn't start cost cutting and didn't start compromising because of new safety and legal requirements. It's wonderful. It's in a kind of a maroon colour with the registration JFF2J. Is that what, 1971? I forget now. It's amazing. And this is actually an FF, basically an Interceptor with four-wheel drive. But the whole design was a rip-off of the Brsinka Urapuru. Look it up and you'll go, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Right, there's a BMW 350 CSI burbling away. Listen. Nice. Nice. There's a Bentley Mulsanne in a golden bronze. Oh, sorry, Continental S in a sort of a golden ochre, bronzy kind of colour. Flipping heck. Every single vehicle here you could spend 10 minutes talking about, couldn't you? Every single one. That Interceptor, I'm going to have to take a picture of the Interceptor. Right, I'm going to do it now because, come on, you know me. Stand by, get me phone out, wait for the people to clear out of the way. It's gripping podcast, isn't it, boys and girls? Yeah. Clear the frame, brother. Got it. It's a Corvette Stingray. Was that 67? I'm testing you now because you know better than me. You have access to this information. With the registration USA 318, and it's in silver. It looks better polished than a Prince set. Seriously, Prince was polished. I think that's it. I think I've actually covered all the cars at the London Concours. Sir,
this one. Which one's that?
The SM.
Yeah.
I spotted it earlier on.
It's the bollocks.
I said on this podcast about an hour and a half ago that this is one of the most influential cars in terms of aerodynamics ever. Because you look at any car that's trying to be efficient and modern now, they have the half-covered rear wheel, you have a low profile, you have that sort of back.
That's it.
That is one of the most important cars in the last 100 years, right?
This car is still from the future.
It's still from the future, correct, yeah. I like the way that the future looked in the past, because it looked more futuristic than the one that we're in. What's your name, sir?
Lance McCormack.
And?
I'm Bob.
Hello, Bob. Lance, nice to meet you, brothers. Enjoying the art around us.
Have you got a podcast or something?
I have, yes. I've got.
What's it called?
It's called Gareth Jones on Speed.
Okay, we like that.
I've been doing it for 19 years, a long time. One of the first. But yeah, there's nothing like the SM. I had a Corgi or a dinky SM in sort of pink, and I remember coming to the motor show in the early 70s and going up escalators and driving it up the escalator, up the rubber.
I think the guy that's done that has done it very well, because I believe that's the original Veragent, the tobacco leather. But have you seen what he's done inside?
No, let's have a look. Come on.
He's put lambskin rugs in there.
Lambskin rugs in an SM. Is there anything sexier in the universe than that? You can open the door. Oh, brother!
He's changed the colour of the carpet, but look at those rugs.
Look at that. That is deep.
Look
pile.
at the headlining. It's gone from black to.
I'm going to have a look at the headlining. I wish you could see this. It's tan. It's beautiful. Suede. Can I feel it?
It's not suede, but it
feels like suede.
The steering wheel is had done in calf, but look at this here. That used to be black.
Really, and they brought it's transparent now. The rear glass. You did it. Well done. Well done. Is that your car? Congratulations, sir. One of the finest cars here.
Thank you. I restored that one for him as well.
The
Facel Vega.
Oh, a Facel Vega. You don't see many of those around. A Facel Vega 2.
This is rather special.
What was there a Facel Vega Series 3?
There was, technically, yes.
But which is the best one? The 1, the 2, or the 3?
The 2 is the best by a mile.
It's always the case that the Series 2... I'm talking to the chap who's sitting in the Vega. Is this your car?
It is, yeah.
Can I shake your hand?
Yeah, of course.
Elegant. Why is it always the Series 2 is the best option, even if there's 3 series?
I don't know the answer to that in all cars. I do know in Facel, and it's because the French started taxing big engines, so they made Facel smaller after the 2.
There's always a reason.
Is he socialist French, you see? That's a problem.
Nothing wrong with a bit of socialism, said the Welshman. This is just beautiful, not just because it's rare, but because it's just a magnificent bit of engineering. So well turned out, isn't it?
It is, and beautifully restored by a very skilled craftsman.
And how long have you owned this car?
I've owned this car since 2019.
Your name?
Steve.
Last name?
Groves.
Nice to meet you. How did you find it? Have you always wanted one or what?
I'd always wanted one, and it came up at auction. It had been a little unloved for a while following a restoration in the early 2000s, and I spent a bit of time checking it out. I saw that it had some really good names on the restorers list.
This chap.
He restored it in about 2000.
Well, he's done a passable job. I'm underplaying it.
It's holding up, isn't it?
Well done, sir. Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, really nice to
and
meet you.
Pleasure to touch your car.
Cheers.
Nice to meet you, fellas. See you later. Man alive. Our sort of people, right? People who really care about these things, and just because they've got the money to afford the greatest cars in the universe, it doesn't mean they are any different from us. We buy them as models, they buy the full-size ones, don't they? Yeah, there's a bunch of Aston Martins I need to spend some time with. Maybe I should get a word with Richard as well. Should we go and see if Richard is still there? And sorry, dude, walking through someone's photograph. I'm going to find Richard and talk to him about cars, because that's what we do, isn't it? That's what we do.
Gareth Jones on speed!
Richard Porter is currently engaged with fans of Sniff and Smith, which means I've got Jonny Smith all to myself. Do you know, we should have a podcast called Alias Smith and Jones.
Yes.
Really? Shouldn't we?
We should.
I could do it with him. It could be Alias Sniff and Jones.
Sniff and Jones.
How are you? How's the tour, baby? You're on tour, rock and roll.
Well, I guess we are on tour. Yeah, it's been really good, thanks. I still can't believe they wanted us to come here. It feels a bit odd, because it's a very prestigious event.
It truly is. It
Isn't
is. The clue's in the title. The London Concours.
Yes.
This is the only one in the city of London. This is the one, and
Yeah.
everything out there is perfect. You got a favourite?
Just before you press record, we were talking about the Facel Vega,
Yes.
which is still a car, I think. It's just a great combo. Elegant, French, beautiful big coupe thing, or a convertible with the American V8. It just works.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about like a fussy engine. It's expensive.
An Italian engine or a French engine
Yeah,
of that period.
temperamental engine. It's got power.
Yeah.
It sounds good. It looks incredible. So with age, I'm starting to like those more and more. And also, the other thing that I like, there's a Zagato-bodied Porsche. Is it Carrera GT?
Yes, it was a Carrera GT.
In a really
yes.
sort of sensible green colour.
Yeah.
I really like that car.
Which they've just done a sort of rear deck thing on it, make it a little bit more sort of fastbacky. And we were hanging around earlier on with a guy called Kevin, who is a proper car designer. Who most recently worked at Pininfarina, and before that he's been at BMW, he's been at Ital Design in the 80s. He worked with Sharon. I mean, this guy, he's one of these people who doesn't get big profile stuff, but he has got a lot of great work behind him.
Yeah, he's done some stuff.
And we were looking at it, and I was thinking, I'm not sure about this Carrera GT Zagato. Then he just went, I think I prefer the original. I was like, oh, thank you. An actual designer has said they prefer the original.
Is that the only ever instance of a Zagato version not being as good as the original?
Also, the weird thing is, and we ended up looking at this on our phones just to check, but the original Carrera GT has a sort of double bubble roof, like a Zagato design would.
Would have done.
So they're sort of, it's
not a
already
big leap.
there.
So they had nothing
They
left to
probably,
do.
they probably looked at him and went, what do we have to do? Okay.
Listen, you must be all talked out about cars. You actually must be almost fed up of talking about cars. How many of these have you done now, these live events?
That's a good question, Gareth. It's
I can answer this one.
6.2, isn't it?
Yeah, so this is technically our seventh, but we
Seventh.
called it 6.2, so yeah.
which was a sort of experiment.
Can
to
I
see if
just
Ford's
say,
would be
though,
a thing.
that none of this would exist without On Speed? Because, you introduced me, probably us, to the idea of podcasting. And, I've
Blame
been
Zog.
On Speed for years. Yes, I suppose it's ultimately Zog's fault. Thanks, Zog. But he did this thing. On Speed was doing car podcasts before pretty much anyone else. Certainly the UK was
it was
doing
one
it.
of the very first,
And
how many numbers?
19 years ago we started.
Shitting hell.
Yeah, really.
A veteran, that's podcast.
It's impossible, isn't it? But you guys move it to another level. On Speed was doing, I don't know, the Marquee on Wardour Street. You're doing Wembley.
Well, no, because we did that amazing. How many people came to that pub gig that we did?
150.
Was it?
Yeah.
That's a lot in a pub room.
Yeah, it was. No, it was. It was a good sort of sweaty gig because it was quite a
quite rock and roll
vibe. Yeah, well, it was, and we had a band and we did all that stuff. And again, that was a great prototype for this that we didn't realise was, but it proved what was possible. We were hanging out with someone earlier on who works in radio, and he said the thing about radio is the same as podcasting. It's a very solo activity.
Yeah.
You tend to listen to these things on your own.
Yeah.
So you do an event like this,
And I've got no friends either.
Well, no,
I don't have any choice. Oh yeah,
we've
got a friend.
All of this is building up to just us having some mates in a room that we've never met before. But that's the thing. You see, these people who are doing this solo activity then suddenly go, I can go and meet these other people, and it proves that it's real and you're not doing it on your own.
I've described On Speed as a kind of a support network for those of us who are addicted to cars, but I think you've generated a cult between you. It actually felt like being in a cult.
Somebody has said this to
Testify for me now. People will stand up and tell their stories, you know.
Well, we did look like sort of TV evangelists on stage.
In your blazers.
We had blazers and head mics, and then we've had people in the room and also before telling us they've bought cars, and afterwards, I bought cars on your recommendation, and I was like,
Oh, no.
You did what? Are you out of your mind? And then we're doing our sort of call and response full transit thing, and people, there's no delay. You say the word, they say it back, and it does feel like being a cult leader in the nicest possible way.
Imagine Freddie Mercury, where he does his "Hey up" thing, do it, and the crowd, they know. They knew. It happened. It is quite scary.
Try it with AC or any name of any car. See what they do.
Fiat Uno. Maybe we should.
Listen, Jonny, Richard, it's fantastic to see you, brothers. It really is. I love the show.
Thanks,
if you're listening to this, go and see it, of course. Why would I not?
This is the best cross-podcasting. Look at those influencers all doing that.
Pollination.
Deeply meta. So it's goodbye from me, Gareth. It's goodbye from Jonny.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from Richard.
Goodbye.
I love you to hear your voices, boys. It really is.
For information on how to contact the show, see pictures, get song lyrics, follow us on Twitter, find our Facebook fan page, or to sponsor the show, go to garethjones.tv. Gareth Jones on Speed is made in London by Whiz Bang.
Gareth Jones on Speed!